What is up, hammerheads? Welcome back to the forge. Today I am doing a probably 2-year review of my Metabo toolkit. This stuff is awesome. Stay tuned. Alright guys, I want to talk about the Metabo 18 volt brushless toolkit that I got little over 2 years ago. I'd got it after a Black Friday sale. It was left over, and I want to say I paid under 300 bucks for this thing. Now we've had some inflation and some things happen, so the price of these tools might be a little more expensive than what I paid for them. But I want to talk about each one. I'm going to go from what I don't use the most to what I use all the time, and talk about what I like and what I don't like and what I think they could possibly change. This is just, and they could have already changed it. I haven't. I got a set, so I don't go looking. All right, so first thing I want to talk about is the Metabo adjustable light. This is a flashlight. The head of it swivels. It is fairly bright. Line you guys for a second, and it has a couple of settings. I like that. That's very simple. I like that you can swivel the LED around and close it up so it won't get busted. The battery life on this is phenomenal. We had the power go out probably about a year after I got this, and it worked phenomenal. Like, I had it just sitting on my table and it lit up my living or my dining room area really well, and my living room area pretty well. Just it shining up at the ceiling. And the battery life on it when it was on low lasted hours upon hours. And when I'll talk about the batteries in a lot more detail, but the batteries on these are great. And even for an 18 volt, they have a lot of power. So pros on this thing, it's not heavy. Very simple to use. I've used this underneath my mom's house whenever I had to work on a water line. I've used it in some other areas where I've needed just a good work light, and it sets very well flat. Now, some things I don't care for, and it's just me, I guess. I don't care for this. I've used it a couple times, but I don't know. I think they could have been designed a little different. I don't really know how. And then also this. Again, I think it could be designed a little different. Maybe a magnet or something on it to where it's more stationary if you had to mount it somewheres. But it does set very flat, and if you adjust it around, you can kind of put the light where you want it if you're working inside a car or something. But I don't know. Just the mounting, the way it will hang, I don't really care for. I leave it connected because there has been a couple times I've just hung it up just for the light to shine all around. It wasn't necessarily something specific I was needing it for. But other than that, guys, it's just a basic flashlight. I don't know how many lumens it is. I'm sorry I didn't get into all that. And I'm probably not going to get into a ton of specs. I'm just going to talk about what I like and what I don't like. But all in all, it's a really decent flashlight, and it does what flashlights do. All right, guys, so let's talk about the circular saw. Now, the circular saw is a pretty decent saw. The only thing, one of the gripes, or one of the things I got to look into, it's not really a gripe, it's more of a, I think my dyslexia is messing with me, is all it is. But this blade cuts up instead of cutting down. So when you're cutting through something, the blade's rolling back towards you. And for some reason, I feel like I should be going the other way, because it goes that way on my plug-in skill saw. Now, it doesn't matter, it's not hurting anything, but has me asking questions that I need to look at some other companies' circular saws to check out, especially the cordless, to see if they're all like that. I'm just curious. Very powerful saw. The battery life is very well on it for a circular saw. I worked for about 3 or 4 hours, 5 hours maybe one day, working on something in my wife's building, putting up paneling and boards and stuff, and it bogged down maybe once, and I swapped out the batteries. Like, it was starting to get a little low and was bogging down. It's lithium, so they're supposed to run until they die, but it never died. I just swapped out the batteries. Or if it did die, it was once. I can't remember. It's been about a year ago, but the life on it was very well, and the battery wasn't fully charged when I put it on here. I do like that it has a battery indicator. Let me see. Just trying to get in here to see if I can see it, but I think my battery's almost dead. But it does have, yeah, it does have a battery indicator in there. It also has a light indicator to show that your light is on. And you can have it set in a couple modes to only come on. Hope y'all can see that, guys. Flashlight that hits, or the light that hits on your blade. You can have it on all the time, or you can have it come on whenever you're just using the saw. So I do like that feature. The adjustments are really good. They are good and tight whenever you go to adjust down. The guide itself I like a lot. I used to not like these whenever I was younger, just because I was stupid. And I mean, that was really it. I was young and dumb. If I'm doing a ton of cuts and it's going to be like the same 3-inch cut over and over again, I'm just cutting that off 2x4, being able to put this in and adjust it and just do all those cuts, I'm not having to measure every time. Like I said, my only gripe on this thing really is whenever I was going to do some cuts, I was cutting too fast, and it was more my fault than it was the saw's fault, because I was trying to cut like a corded circular saw, and it would bog down on me. So I had to slow down my cuts a little bit, and really that was it. But guys, that's the Metabo 18-volt circular saw. I like it a lot, and I use it a fair amount of time. This isn't out there something I use every day, but it does work very well and has held up over the last 2 years of being banged around. So this is the Metabo oscillating tool. Has light on the front, has your battery indicator. Yeah, I gotta charge my battery, it's almost dead. Decent tool. I've used it a few times for like cutting out for wall outlets and things like that. It does what it does. It's a little bulky, big for what it is. And this makes no sense to me. I have to flip this up, unlock this, to take out a threaded bolt. It just seems like a lot of work to change out the blades. And it doesn't make a lot of sense to me why it was made that way. Now these are designed, you can put these any direction. So they work very well, I mean, for what it is. I just didn't understand the concept of, I have to put this bolt in, turn this knob to lock it back, and then put tension on it with this. It just seems like too many things to do to try to change out a blade. It works very well, has an adjustment on it, but that's my only gripe on this thing. It's bulky. You know, it's just kind of, for what it is, it just seems thick. Is the only way to describe it. It could be smaller, I guess is what it is. In my mind, I don't know the science behind building these things. They might have had to make it this big so the battery would work well with it. I don't know. But it works well. Like I said, these are only a couple things that I don't understand why you have to flip this handle up, unlock this, and pull this bolt out to change it out. It just seems like there would be a simpler way, a simpler design. It seems like too many steps to try to change out one blade. I feel like flip up this handle and pull this bolt out would all you'd really need to do. But that's just me. I don't make the huge money on this, so I couldn't tell you why they do that. But this is a Metabo oscillator, I think is what they're called. They're called something else. I can't remember now. If y'all can think of what, like, carpenter tool, or I don't remember. It's called something. I've heard a nickname for it, I guess, and I can't remember what the nickname is. But it's a handy tool. I did a lot of cuts with this on cutting out a bunch of outlets for my wife's building, and I've used it a couple times at my church, I think, for a couple things whenever I was having to do a couple quick cuts or cut around some trim in my daughter's room whenever we were putting new flooring down. For what it is, it works great. I would not get rid of it. It does everything I need it to do, and then some. So this is the oscillator. This is the reciprocating saw that come with it. I absolutely love the size. For what I do, it's perfect. What I don't like about it, though, it's not made for a left-handed person. So I'll be in the middle of cutting, and I'll hit this lock button, but when I stop, it's made for a right-handed person. It also bogged down a little bit. Like when I'd be cutting something, if it got hung up, it would stop, and then I would have to release the trigger and re-go. I think it's a safety mechanism, but I'm not sure. Just realized after 2 years there's a button there, and I don't know what that button does. I have no idea. I gotta look at the manual now. I'll leave a comment when I figure it out, guys. It is a good cutting saw. I've cut a ton of metal with it. I've cut wood with it. I've cut limbs. It is a workhorse, but it will stop cutting if it gets bogged down. Like if the blade gets pinched, and you know, like on other reciprocating saws, it'll just beat your brains out. I guess it's a safety thing in it. It'll stop. But it also, if you're going and you're cutting something and it's cutting, and it just starts that process, it's like either I'm hitting something to make it stop going, or it's like right there, it kind of did it. I don't know. It might be something to do with this lock system right here. I gotta look at that. But I don't know. It works well for what it is, I guess. It's not designed for big, heavy cutting, you know, through, 3 inches of steel. It's designed, it's light duty use. It's good for, cutting limbs, cutting boards, cutting, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch steel. It's not made for heavy duty construction use. It's made for home use. And I will say that about this. It works good for what it is. I love the size, but it is not designed for going out and cutting I-beam. It's designed for what it's designed for, and that's what I use it for. It does work well. I have used it many, many times. Went through quite a few blades with it over the last 2 years, and I like it. And it covers all the bases I need. If I need to cut anything bigger than that, I have other saws, or have accesses to torches and chop saws and everything like that. So, but for what it is, the little reciprocating saw. All right, guys. Really, so I'm going to talk about the main reason why I bought this kit. It was this tool right here. Now, I am 50-50 happy with it and not happy with it. I love that it's portable. I love the battery life on how long it'll last. And it does a very decent job. And it's just a decent job. I have been grinding, or I have been cutting something, and it stopped because I guess a safety feature on the inside of it, so it doesn't kick back on you. But I was using like a little bit of extra pressure when I was grinding, and it just quit grinding. It wasn't that I was cutting anything. I was just grinding on something, and it quit. And I had to stop it and turn it back on. And so I don't know if it's like a safety feature in it or something, but that is my only gripe about it. It does what it does. It does it okay. I can't say it does it phenomenal, but it does do a decent job at cut. I've used it cutting a lot of 1/4 inch, a lot of 1/2 inch. I used it making crosses when I broke my blade on my saw, but I had to go really slow with it. It's not a right now just cut through, get it done kind of thing. But it does work, and it works well when I'm traveling. It works well whenever I'm set up doing demos, and I'm trying to clean up a horseshoe knife or a railroad spike knife, or something, cleaning up on a hook or something like that. It does phenomenal. For what it is, it works great. My other gripe about it, it's kind of bulky also. So when you're grinding, it's awkward to hold. Once you get used to it, it works well, and it's probably because I'm left-handed and I'm holding it backwards. Apparently a lot of this stuff was set up for right-handed people, because I do like that you have the mount on both sides also with your handle, but I do most things with my left hand on this side, and it is a lot more comfortable set up like this and doing all your grinding. I don't like where the switch is located also. I wish it was a squeeze trigger or something, but it works well. It does everything it needs to do. I would buy it again if you guys are questioning some of these things. As I said, I would not hesitate to buy this kit again. I absolutely love it, and the way it's made and designed works for all of my needs. If I have to alter the way I do a couple of things because of, it bogs down or it actually just stops, I'll do that, because for the price, for what I use it for, it works well. So, but this is the angle grinder, guys. There's no flashlight on it, which is fine. I do like the big button up top for the blade stop. That's really nice. It's very well identified. And it is a workhorse, I will say that. Don't let my gripes say anything otherwise. It does have your battery indicator down here at the bottom too. I like that a lot. I like knowing what my battery level is. I hate guessing and then just die on me in the middle of a job. But all in all, guys, it's a good tool. I can't say it's a great tool, but it is a very good tool. And if you are wanting a budget set, because this set, like I said, was about, when I bought it again 2 years ago, I'm gonna say it was under $300 or under $400. I can't remember exactly. It's been a while. And it was cheaper than the price of like 2 drills and a Sawzall or something, from another brand. And it has held up. And I'm going to talk more about that in my next 2 items. All right, guys. So I'm going to talk about the drill and the driver. These things are beasts. And out of everything else in this set that I could kind of be like, I have a gripe on this, I have a gripe on that, I have nothing to gripe about on either one of these. I actually had to, on the drill, I couldn't have it set to where it was on the highest setting. On the drill, I had to engage the clutch when I was drilling things because I kept breaking bits. This thing is powerful. I have never actually owned a drill other than my 1/2-inch drive drill that is this powerful. It scares me sometimes. I keep it on low. This is high. And I don't ever actually keep it on the drill setting. I keep it set at 22 because I need it to hit that clutch to kick in so I don't break my drill bits every time I'm getting hung up. If I'm drilling through wood, I can do it. But if I'm drilling through steel, as you know, a bit will get hung up sometimes on a burr and it will rip a bit in half. I have shattered a couple of bits up here because I had it set too high. So I keep it on 19 or, either 20 or 22, in that area because I don't want to break all my bits. This thing is a beast. And it's very well built, very durable. I love the size. And I use this drill all the time. It stays up here in the forge. It's in my house. I use this and this 99% of the time. And they both are workhorses. I mean, I can't speak. If all you needed is a drill and a driver, this is a set I would get. And when I say I don't charge the batteries a lot, I put them on charge once a month because I think it's probably time to charge that battery. Especially on these, they last a long, long time. I have drilled tons of holes up here, weeks at a time, and then my battery died. I mean, it wasn't like I drill stuff and work for a couple of hours. I mean, I have drilled tons of holes through steel, through knife steel, through all kinds of things, and this thing has worked and worked and worked and has not stopped. Again, I've never used the hammer drill portion of it because I don't really have a need for that right now. But whenever I put it on drill, it'll break a drill bit in a heartbeat. And I'm not talking a little drill bit either. 1/4 inch. I ripped one apart up here one day. So, great drill. Now, let me talk about this driver. And I got to talk about how durable it is, but also all the way around how durable this thing is. So this driver has 4 settings. It has your standard setting, your low, your I guess your high, and then it has P and S, and I have never used those because I'm afraid it's going to break something. So I know one of them is to drill a hole, like if you're using the driver with the hex head bits. And the other one is for something else. But I use this to take bolts off of a tire on my trailer, the lug nuts off of a trailer tire, and it worked phenomenal. I have used this thousands of times for everything from just drilling a hole or putting a screw in to, taking the lug nuts off to ripping bolts out. I have broke so many bolts and screws with this thing because it's so powerful. And I didn't think it would be, but this thing is a beast. And I want to talk about the durability of them. I have not done this with the others, but me and my son, I was teaching him how to shoot his little pew-pew. Sounds so bad, but I don't want to get demonetized. I don't want to, ruin my chances of getting monetized and growing and my channel get canceled. But we were outside and I hung up a target and I set this on my old chicken coop. 2 rains and a couple of freezes later, I remembered where it was at. And when I say it was frozen, it had ice on it, like frost all over it. And it had been sitting in a couple of good rainstorms. I took it, I picked it up, and like, oh man, this thing's trash. The battery's going to be trash because of what happened to it from the past. This thing works great. The battery was still fully charged. The flashlight still works. And when I say it was left outside, it was like a week. It's December now. And we had a couple of good hard freezes. And we had a couple of really good rains in between those good hard freezes. And this thing dried out. And it has, I picked it up and squeezed the trigger expecting it to just not work. And it worked perfect. So, but if you couldn't get the whole set and all you needed was a drill and a driver, I recommend these. I have nothing bad to say about them at all. There is like absolutely, this one will break a drill bit if you have it set on the drill setting. If you're not careful, you'll break bolts with this one. And that is my only bad thing to say. I love that it has the clips on it and that they're you can rearrange them so you can adjust it to different sides. But I have absolutely nothing bad to say about either one of these. The battery life on them is amazing, and they hold up extremely well. I would, for me personally, because of the budget it being to buy them, and the durability of everything. Now I have dropped these, and even the downfall, the few things that I didn't care about, like with the grinder when it'll bog down and stop, the skill saw the same way, and the Sawzall. I think those are safety features I just don't like because I'm not used to having safety features on my tools. So that's probably, it's something that I can look past on how good the tools perform, how long the battery lives are. Like the Sawzall, I used it for an entire day, afternoon. It wasn't a full day, it was an afternoon. And we were replacing our pews at the church, and I cut up 8 or 9 pews. It never stopped. The blade wore out. The wooden blade I was using wore out long before my battery did. It was just a great tool. It has been a great tool since I've owned them. But if you just need a drill and a driver, this right here, I would hold these up against anybody. I would hold them up against DeWalt. I'd hold them up against Milwaukee. I'm not putting either one of those brands down. They're just very, very expensive. And these are really decent tools for the money. Now, are they commercial use? These are, the drill and the driver are. I would guarantee these would be good commercial use tools. But the other ones are more for a small business or home use. And that's just what I can say on it. They're not designed for industrial use, for an everyday, hit it hard, use like some of the other tools are. Could they do it? Yes. But if it's a 4-hour job, it might take you 4 hours and 30 minutes. That would be my range of, because you're going to have to slow down a little bit when you're using the saw and using the Sawzall and stuff. And that's just from my personal experience from it. On some of these tools, I am not like a master tradesman with a skill saw. I'm a homeowner that uses a skill saw about twice a month, and I have my table saw that I use probably 4 times a year. When I decide to build some things, I know how to use them. but I'm not an expert. I'm a jack of all trades when it comes to that. But guys, if you want a set that will do just about anything you want it to do, and it holds up very well, like I said, over the last 2 years, and especially the drill and the driver, you know, they held up, have been workhorses for me. So if you want a tool that is going to be, or some tools that are going to be, you know, great for, you know, working up at your cabin, you know, working around the house, working in your shop, when you're traveling, if you're set up doing demos in places, things like that, this is a really good set for that, because you're not going to be doing like huge, like killer, you know, cutting through I-beam work with them. You're going to be cutting smaller stuff or grinding out some smaller things, and they work great for that. So for everyday use, they're great. For commercial use, they're mediocre. They're mid-ranged on that. So they're not, you know, they're not very, very budgeted. I hate saying like cheap store brand stuff, but they are mid-range when it comes to the commercial use. Now, home use, phenomenal, but when it comes to commercial use, about mid-range. So that's my review on this, guys. Sorry I rambled so long, but I want to talk about them because it's been 2 years, and I have not even had to replace a battery. The batteries on these are absolutely amazing. I have never had one that's lasted 2 years at the work that I use the drill and the driver on. That and how frequently I charge them and take care of them. I mean, they have been used and abused, and the battery life is still phenomenal. So if you want to check them out, guys, I don't know if they sell this kit anymore, and I don't know how much it is if they do. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-piece kit. When I bought it, it did come with a Sawzall blade. It did come with an angle grinder wheel, and it did come with a saw blade. It did not really, it come with like a bit for the driver and the drill. But a decent set if you want to buy it, Hart, I think that's how they say it. It's a Walmart brand. Their Impact Drivers bit set, but their drill bits are not the greatest. But their Impact Driver set is really good, but the box sucks. I don't have it up here with me, but if you're looking for just a decent set, that's what I use, and it's fairly decent. I have not had any of them tear up, and I have broke screws using the driver, and my Phillips head bit was still in perfect condition. So if you want to check that out too, guys. But I'm going to try to leave a link in the description if I find this set on one of the websites. They're not affiliated, but if it's a good set or a good tool, I'm going to shoot you in that direction. So guys, thanks for listening to me ramble for, you know, a few minutes. I want to talk about this tool set over the last 2 years. I will see you on the next one. God bless. Keep hammering.